I have started recording. It is 6:01, so we'll start the meeting. In accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Luneburg Public Access Channel. The town of Luneburg, in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus, is currently following the guidance from the Luneburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread, and all town facilities are currently open on a limited basis to the public. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. This meeting will be recorded and be able to be found on the Luneburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link below, which is on the agenda, to join the meeting webinar, or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499, also on the agenda, and enter the webinar ID 894-0498-2186, and then the pound sign. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and email address. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. I will start with a roll call vote. Dave Passios.
Here.
Not a roll call vote, a roll call, sorry.
That's okay.
It's been a long day already. Dave.
Here.
Blatt.
Oh, Dave Blatt.
Here.
Brian Leighton.
Here.
And who else? We have, I don't see Tanner yet. And as mentioned, I do not expect Michael Ray or Mike Mackin this evening. Okay, we will begin with public comment from the public. And again, I'd ask if folks could just use the raise hand feature. That would be terrific. Okay, I don't see any comment. So I will move to public comment from the committee members. And I will start with one item. I just received an email, copy of an email with Mike Mackin's resignation. He gave notice to the select board that he has resigned. So we haven't heard a response back from the select board. So we will await that, but I wanted to bring that up and just give that information to everybody. Any other public comment from the committee? Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, just a quick comment. Greg, you're probably aware of this, but just wanted to make it as a public statement right now that, you know, in our outreach for the community groups, I have, well, you started 3 meetings ago with the BOS, and I've been present through the entire meetings, the last 2. And at the end of both, I made the announcement that we're still very open to groups coming to our meeting, and gave the dates and times and so on, just so that, you know, everybody's aware that we are reaching out. And obviously with the names I see up on Zoom this evening, that has yielded some response. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Dave. I did see that you did that. I thank you for doing that. I can't make all those Tuesday meetings, so I do appreciate you.
Yeah,
doing
not
that.
a problem. I'm at many meetings, so.
Yeah. Me too. They just don't happen to all be in Luneburg, so.
Right.
Okay, anybody else? Dave or Brian? Okay.
All set, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we will move on. As we did the last meeting or two, we have included an agenda item for community input from community organizations. And so I know we have several here. And let's see, let me just, we have Dr. Burnham, we have Steve Walker, we have Sue Doherty, and we have Corinne. Am I missing anybody? I think that's who we have. So I would like to start with Sue, and we'll give you the floor, Sue. And afterwards, we'll do a, we'll give opportunity for the committee members to ask any questions. I would like to kind of try and keep this, I'm not talking directly at you, Sue, but for everybody involved, I would like to try to keep this this segment, keep the time under control. I rewatched the last meeting and it was a little long. I don't want to rush anybody, but let's try and see what we can do to keep things on, condense our discussion to the extent we can. With that, Sue, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for coming.
Okay. I'm Sue Doherty. I'm the director at the Luneburg Council on Aging. And basically, the Council on Aging's interest in the TC Passios is mainly the gymnasium. We have a really great function hall at our place, but it's not big enough to do things like pickleball and Zumba classes. And we were thinking health fairs, maybe in the gym or the cafeteria, things that we've tried to do at our place before, and it's just not big enough for that flow of traffic. We have been doing pickleball and Zumba classes over there in the gym, and it's worked out really well. The Zumba dance classes are our biggest exercise class, and we can draw up to 40 people in that class at one time. I'm sure John Londa can attest to that. And it works out really well for us. But basically, that's what we're interested in over there, is the bigger space for wellness activities.
Okay, awesome. I will, as mentioned, I'll open it up to questions, and I'm just going to go right down the line. So go ahead, Dave Passios.
Yeah, Sue, Dave Passios, just a quick question. Do you see any additional need for scheduling in, whether it be the gym or if the cafeteria area were available beyond what you're doing at this point?
Only if we came up with larger fitness classes. Right now, the big one is the Zumba and the pickleball. I try not to overextend our schedule and go beyond our means where we can't do it. We promise things and can't do it. But right now, that's about it. In the future, who knows?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dave Blatt, anything?
Yes, these classes, the roughly time, are these during the day, during the evening?
Yes, during the day, because we were, because the extended daycare was over there also, and Boys and Girls Club were using it in the afternoon. So we made a schedule where my people like to exercise in the morning. So everything was before noontime, let's say 9 to 11, 9 to 10.
Okay, so you're looking mostly for just to block off the morning and you'll be fine.
Right, unless we come up with something like a health fair or something like that, that would probably have to be an afternoon thing, and that's why I'm thinking the cafeteria room would be perfect for that, but
Okay, perfect. Okay, and other needs, things, would you be, if there was a cafeteria, if there was a place to cook, would that be of interest to you at all or not?
We have a kitchen right now. We don't have a official chef at the senior center. All of our food comes in prepared from Montechusett Opportunity Council, Mock Nutrition over in Fitchburg. I'd like to change that at some point in the future, but right now our kitchen is sufficient the way it is. Unless we did like a big, I don't know, fundraising supper or something like that.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, the thought was that you could actually offer meals to the town employees
Oh,
as well.
us? That's good.
Oh, man. I don't know.
But
I don't know if you know.
they'd have to sit, you know, each one would have to sit at different tables and listen to the people, tell them about what's going on and what's wrong and things like that. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's a rich one. Yeah, okay. No,
Okay. All right. Thanks. That's all I had, Mr. Chair.
okay.
Okay, Brian, anything?
I didn't have a question, just more of a comment. I think it's important for organizations that have already been using the space to continue to be able to use that space. I want to thank Sue for coming tonight and also for all that she's done. Also, I think organizations like the Boys and Girls Club and even the night volleyball that goes on, that they continue to use the space, and that potentially we can get like a calendar where we can see the open space and they can book extra fairs or plan special events, and other organizations can do the same.
Okay, good. And I'd like to thank you for coming too, Sue, and just say out loud to the community and to the public that I blew it last week and promised Sue that I would speak on her behalf, and I totally slipped my mind. So I appreciate you coming and giving us a face-to-face on this.
That's okay. I was on a Zoom meeting today with 110 people from all over the world. And I was just like, oh, I got home. I went, oh, I forgot. I had to run back and get my computer. But here I am, and I'm done.
All right. Well, thanks, Sue. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to, I will give Dr. Burnham an opportunity to speak. I appreciate you coming, and thanks to Brian for inviting you. And I know you're a very, very busy person right now, so thank you for your time. And I'll give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Londa is here with me as well. You know, I think Mr. Leighton has shared a couple of different versions of the layout of how space might be utilized. In at least a couple of versions, it appears that the administration offices and potentially, I'm assuming, the extended day program would be down in the back wing of the building that's currently unused. I think that would be feasible. Our challenge is that currently our offices are in close proximity to the gym. So when the gym is in use during the day, we often can hear the activities that are going on. I think as well, if the Boys and Girls Club is looking to gather some space, it might be a challenge if the offices were bookended, if you will, I guess, by the extended day program and the Boys and Girls Club. Lots of activity with lots of very appropriate noise. Can make it a little bit difficult for office work. But I assume that things are still a little bit fluid in the planning as far as users in the building. I understand that at the last meeting, it was mentioned that perhaps the school department could trade places, if you will, with the Boys and Girls Club and have us move over into the building that they currently occupy. While square footage might be okay, it would take a lot for us to convert that space to multiple offices. Currently, there's quite a bit of open area that would have to be converted. So you know, you're talking about additional construction to transition that space to a model that would be appropriate for us. Mr. Londa, you have anything to add?
The only other thing I would add is, so, you know, school department operations are a year-round event. You know, we go through July, August every year, and I don't believe the teen center is really, from an HVAC standpoint, equipped to be able to handle that. So I didn't, when I looked, you know, I heard the discussion on it last week. I wasn't so sure that's a good fit for the school department.
Okay, sorry, I had to close my door. All right, I'll open it up to, thank you very much, Dr. Burnham and John. Appreciate you coming. And I'll open it up to questions, and I'll just go down the line. I'll start with Dave Passios. You're muted, sir.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, Dave Passios. I don't have any specific questions right now. You are correct, Dr. Burnham. The floor plan is very fluid still at this point. I'm kind of perusing through what was sent to us this afternoon, and it's totally different from what we saw at our last meeting, and I'm sure there'll be some more shuffling around. The adjacencies, I think, can be dealt with. I think it's very important that we continue to talk about soundproofing when the final arrangement is in place, so that we don't have sound carrying through walls or down corridors into, as you say, office areas that really don't function well with background noise from basketball or kids having a great time or whatever. Thank you.
Dave Black.
Dr. Burnham, I'd like to thank you for coming. My questions were more, my question was more if you can talk to us a little bit about the space needs of the different organizations. I understand your offices, the administration offices, and things of that sort. My questions were more on regards to the ACE program. It's listed as you propose 2 small rooms with a kitchen. Is that a full kitchen, or is that just like a microwave and a sink?
I think potentially where we ideally would be looking for a fuller kitchen setup. The students in the ACE program are kids that we work with to develop life skills. There are 18 to 22-year-old special ed students. So right now, a kitchen model, if you will, is very limited in that space. Recently, we just elevated the sink that was much lower on the wall, because at one time, of course, this was an elementary school building with smaller students, so everything is height appropriate for that age group. So only recently did we, remount the sink a little higher up on the wall so that they could use it to wash dishes and such. But ideally, we would hope to have something closer to a true kitchen model.
Okay. The ACE program, you mentioned it's 9 students. Are they Luneburg residents or from all over?
So in the past, they've been all Luneburg residents. Currently, we're down from 9. And just recently, late last spring, we went before the school committee to request permission to open spaces to other public school districts. Occasionally, you have students who might not be a very good mix to have together. And sometimes, rather than moving these students to a more expensive out-of-district placement, when districts can help each other in this way, it's more cost-effective for the public school districts to send a student to another public school district for a placement. And the school committee did approve that. It's not that we're actively looking to recruit students to the program, but we wanted to be able to accept students should a situation arise that we could take students from another district.
Okay, no, that's great that you're able to do that. Now, as far as, is there a magic number to the number of students you're thinking? Is like, the maximum, any maximum or something like that?
No, we haven't really had to operate too much on a maximum number of students. Typically, we see these students advancing through the grades up through high school, and we can anticipate the number of students that will be coming to the program, in the next handful of years. We haven't had an issue with numbers of students. We hire staff appropriate to meet the needs of the students that are in the program. So, you know, there's a teacher, but we will hire additional paraprofessionals or aides as needed based on a number of students or the specific support needs of students in the program.
Okay. Okay. And then as for the kind of the same questions for extended daycare, how many students do you usually get for extended day?
The last 2 years, we've capped that number at 125. And that's based on the fact that currently we're renting 5 classrooms. And, you know, you think about what's the appropriate number of students for a typical classroom size space. And it's roughly designed to hold in that ballpark of 25. So that's where the number came from for a cap. Obviously, if there were fewer classroom spaces or lesser square footage for us, we would have to reevaluate the number that we would have to cap that program at.
Okay. And the extended daycare, I'm sorry, I forget, but what age group is that or grades is that?
We have students from kindergarten through grade 5. Typically, the students that are 6 through 12 walk over to the Boys and Girls Club after school.
Okay. All right. And is the preference to have individual rooms or a larger room? So in other words, if there was like 2 rooms on one side of the hallway, 1 room on the other, or something, you know, or some rooms on the other, what's the preference for that?
I think that works. One of the things that was a challenge the first year I was here, the program was housed in the school buildings. So at the primary school and the Turkey Hill Elementary, and it was housed in the cafeteria. And the primary school, the program, you know, has just expanded over the years. And the first year I was here in the district, we had 80 students, grades K through 2, in the cafeteria. You know, there's limitations to what you can do for them, and there becomes safety issues really to have that many kids in one combined space. Oftentimes, you know, the challenge for us is that, you know, students often require some assistance during the school day to help regulate their emotions, and they've worked really hard at that all day, and often when they get to the after school program and many people in one space, it presents a challenge for a lot of them to regulate their emotions and stay in control of themselves and act in a way that is safe for themselves and for others. So the move to TCP and having multiple classroom spaces and spaces dedicated for different types of activity has been very beneficial. So one room, you know, is largely dedicated to quiet time, a place where students can get homework help and do some homework. There's another space that's dedicated as the game room. We've had a pool table donated. We've got a ping pong table. We've got a foosball table, so the kids can go into that room, you know, and play. We have a variety of things speckled throughout the rooms, and typically the kids would rotate through different activity spaces, you know, in the course of an afternoon. They also currently use the gymnasium so that some of the kids can go down to the gym.
Okay. And the hours for extended day?
So we start taking students typically as early as 7 a.m.
Okay.
And then we bus them to school in time for school starting at Turkey Hill in the primary. And then we bus them back here if they are also attending the afternoon, and that closes at 5:30.
Okay, so the afternoon is roughly, what, 2 o'clock to 5:30 then?
Roughly 3:20, 3:30
Okay, that's
to
that's
5:30?
close enough. Sorry, I'm not going to hold. We won't hold you to it. Don't worry about it. So, okay, okay, 3 o'clock to 5:30. Okay, okay, excellent. All right, Mr. Chair, that's I think. Oh, the other question was one of the things you have is a break room for the staff. Would you have an issue if, like, say, there was a section of the cafeteria area that was designed for a break room for, both town employees and as well as yourselves?
Well, since we don't have a break room currently, any iteration of a break room space would be great for us.
Okay, okay. I'm just trying to come up with ways to kind of, best utilize the space and make it as little as possible with isolation. It'd be nice if everybody chats and works together, as they say, right?
Definitely.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm all set right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brian, anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with what Dave Passio said about the soundproofing. I think that's going to be really important as we do the layout and put organizations next to each other. I did have a question for the superintendent. I think I know the answer, but if she could share with the committee why the teachers' classrooms aren't used during extended day. So putting kids in the classrooms after school, the vacant classrooms.
So you're talking about housing the program back at the primary school or the Turkey Hill?
Yes.
So elementary school teachers, primary school teachers, they put a lot of their own personal material into their classroom. Displays on bulletin boards, bins of books, art supplies for the classroom, any number of things. To turn that space over to 20, 25 students to occupy for a few hours in the afternoon, things can go missing. Things that the teacher has prepped and set up to receive students in the morning can become disrupted. So all that work that the teacher would do. And the other thing is that the teacher would have to exit the room right at dismissal for kids to come in and occupy that space. So a teacher would not be able to work in their own classroom at the end of the day to prepare and set up for the following day. It's really not an ideal situation at all. It would create hardship, I think, for our staff. And our primary function really is around the teaching and learning during the school day. So, the priority would be to make sure that teachers had access to the space, to set it up in a way that they need to utilize the space for the following day.
I really see it as the extended day is kind of that boys and girls club for the younger kids who aren't able to do the boys and girls club.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, Greg, just a quick follow-up question. Dr. Burnham, you mentioned 125 plus or minus as the cap. Given the situation presently, I understand things are different, and going
Yes.
forward, we don't know what's going to happen. But have you traditionally capped out the last couple of years?
Most days. In the afternoon, we don't typically reach the 125 in the morning, but we do fill many days during the week with that 125.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Next. Thank you, Dr. Burnham.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy life. So good luck with the opening next week.
That's right. We're almost ready.
We're all
of the final decisions have been made. We're
all cheering for you. We're hoping for.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the community's been very patient and understanding of all this as we've fine-tuned to get ready to open safely. So much appreciated.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I will turn it next to, let's see, I think we have Chris Menard here representing the Grange. So is that correct, Mr. Menard?
Yeah, I actually am here for the Grange. I was going to do a public comment, but my birthday party went a little long, so.
Well, if you happen to tack that on to the end, you know, I don't want to cut anybody off, so.
Hey, by the
Yeah.
way, happy birthday. You're 21.
Thank you. Yeah, 29 again, right?
21, 29 again, I was just gonna say
Yeah. My oldest kid is almost as old as me. It's weird. Okay, yeah, so, but for the Grange, so I kind of prepared a statement here. I can send it on to you guys afterwards too. So I'll just kind of read it, my thoughts. So as you said, my name is Chris Menard, 672 Page Street. I am here tonight speaking on behalf of the Luneburg Grange, where I hold the position of secretary. If anyone asks you to be the secretary of the Grange, don't do that. It's the hardest job. The Grange has not met since the whole COVID-19 outbreak due to state restrictions as well as unavailability of our meeting location. I am, as secretary, I am often the communications for the organization, so I believe I am speaking for what the majority of the organization thinks. But we have not met to discuss to formulate a formal position on this, and honestly probably won't have time to do so based on restrictions in your timeline. So take it as a member's position, but probably reflective of the views of those that are in the Grange. A bit about the Luneburg Grange for those who are unfamiliar with the organization. First of all, the National Grange began in the 1800s as a collective of farmers. And the Luneburg Grange goes back to the turn of the previous century. I was trying to look for when it actually opened, but it was in probably the 1800s, early 1900s. So it had a long history. Technically, it's organized as a non-profit fraternity. So probably the same way as the Lions Club or the Knights of Columbus or something like that. The Grange had a long history in Luneburg, but disbanded many years ago due to enrollment issues, which has been kind of common across a lot of Granges. A couple of years ago, Matt Allison took it upon himself to attempt to reorganize the Grange, and we ultimately received our charter in 2019. With that said, 2018, 2019 was dedicated to organizing or reorganizing, so our external visibility might have been limited. I did try to advertise it to some extent, but probably limited. Fundamentally, the Grange is oriented towards agriculture, rural concerns, environment, and general good family fun. Membership is open to anyone age 5 and over, so many Granges have multi-generational family members. For the perspective of this conversation, I believe the Grange represents a community organization that is in the growing stages of an organization. So today's space needs would hopefully grow over time as more programming, more membership, et cetera, but consider us kind of a new organization from that perspective. We hold monthly business meetings open to members and guests, and also have monthly non-formal gatherings. The library community room has been the location of our meetings, and we appreciate the library director's generosity to fit us in. We have had a couple occasions where library events have conflicted with the meetings, so additional similar size rooms would be great. And I'm kind of talking about that one that's up front, the larger community room there.
Okay.
We hope the services we plan to provide to the town would offset any costs incurred to utilize the facilities. So we believe we would be a net benefit to the town from that perspective. So prior to COVID, we were kind of hitting our stride, and we began to plan monthly and small events. And I call a small event like lectures, farm visit, dinners, those sorts of things, as well as larger quarterly events. An example of one of our larger events is the 2019 Pumpkin Fest that we held at the Senior Center. The event focused on carving pumpkins that were provided by farms in town or donated by members. We are gracious to the Senior Center for allowing us rent-free use of the building, and we reciprocated this by leaving some pumpkins for them behind as decorations, and they said they were appreciative of that. This event was attended by approximately 60 people. And we would have had this event again this year if COVID hadn't hit. Again, this is just kind of an idea of the type of events we would have. Ideally, this event would be held in a location like the cafeteria at the TC Passios, as it could be a bit messy, and it would be nice to serve hot apple cider or desserts or something like that. Other organizations in town inquired about joining in on the event in the future to make it even bigger and possibly bring in more advertising. Perhaps in the future, this event could expand to an entire Halloween themed event, meaning multiple groups kind of getting together to do, their little part of it. I could envision similar things for winter holiday and other kind of events throughout the year. As membership grows and recognition of our group grows, we could envision events that would benefit from the gymnasium, a cafeteria, kitchen, meeting rooms with broadcast capabilities. Perhaps we might want to broadcast it out onto public access cable or YouTube, etc. And a small classroom-like settings, perhaps as a lecture or something like that we might want to do. Additionally, and I think Matt Allison had made this comment, we would also benefit from some secure storage, as right now property is kind of spread across the various members' homes. So as we start to accrue things, if we add a centralized storage location, that would be great. And just to, personally, I've made some great friendships with the Grange, people I probably never would have met, and I hope to grow membership once COVID is behind us. So that represents kind of the Grange.
Okay, and I know you have a personal comment too, so I'm going to let you, geez, it's your birthday for crying out loud, so go ahead and do that, and then I'll open it up to questions on the relative to the Grange portion. We'll take public comment like a public comment. It'll just be that, and then we'll limit our comments from the committee relative to the Grange use. So go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so from a personal perspective, again, this is just my personal views. I believe the priority of the reuse committee should be to meet the current and future needs of the following, and these are kind of in my own ranked order. So first, town government. And when I mean town government, I never know what to quite say, but I mean like the non-school portion of town government. Getting town offices into a safe, accessible, and common location seems to have always been the primary reason for this project to begin with. Second, boards and commissions. Attending public meetings is currently a game of whack-a-mole, with some groups meeting at town hall, others at Ritter, some at the school, occasionally the library, and at least one group at the DPW. In my opinion, government should be run from a single location, and I could envision 4 or more simultaneous meetings on a given evening. Especially if you were to include community use in that, and again, during the week. Third priority, and it's somewhat related to the first, is PAC and expanded IT. So this COVID experience has been the largest experiment in distance working and communications. From a silver lining perspective, which is hard to say with what's gone on, it has forced changes that hopefully accommodate future distance participation. For elected and appointed positions, this could dramatically increase the amount of volunteers who may travel frequently. Studios, networked conference rooms, and necessary secure IT should be a priority going forward. So I'm kind of viewing this as, not only the near-term needs, but 20, 30, 40 years from now, I believe this kind of environment is going to become more and more the norm. So the ability to have PAC, to broadcast it, as well as expanding IT. School administration. The schools in general have a large footprint, many buildings, and future building committees should consider accommodate school personnel and related groups into their building. I foresee a future where space becomes tight and other town departments need to move into other school space. So again, I'm looking 20 years out, 30 years out. I don't know what the projections are, but I do see that town government is going to probably expand. And I hate to be in a situation where we build for today, but not for tomorrow. Multi-use community space. So when architecting a system, I'm a system engineer, I'm an architect. In this case, a building, modern best practices seek open standards, modularity, reuse, and other quality attributes. Community organizations can greatly benefit from this space. Coming out of months of quarantine or social distancing, the benefits of community and therefore community space will be great. We have many great organizations in town and they should have equal access to the space. And then dedicated community space would be the, what I would consider the next and final priority of what I see, with priority towards maximizing benefits to community at large and any of those who need assistance, like food banks, clothing drives, foster care, etc. Some organizations provide valuable service that will require dedicated space, and many have been mentioned prior to this, for a variety of reasons. Careful trade-offs should occur on general versus dedicated use. Even if dedicated space is desired, its footprint should be minimized into a hybrid dedicated multi-use situation. Finally, a holistic look of the resultant town footprint will be important. Rebuilding one building and creating several unused buildings is probably not palatable decision for voters. I would recommend that the reuse committee develop and document design guidelines, such as those priorities listed above. Additionally, careful attention needs to be given to the needs of the town now and in the future. So that was my public comment.
Okay, thanks, Chris. As I mentioned, I'll open it up to the board, to the committee for questions relative to the Grange use. Go ahead, Dave Passios. You're muted, Dave, sorry.
Sorry about that. Chris, you had mentioned earlier on the Grange side, equipment and or whatever you guys have scattered around private homes. How much of a space do you see being needed for storage? A closet of just so I can have a picture in my mind as to it, obviously a secure location, but how big a space?
Yeah, I mean, I think a closet would be sufficient based on what we have now. And especially like there's an obvious relationship between the Grange and the Agricultural Commission. So perhaps if AgCom was given space in this building, or if they are given space in the future in a building, that might be a logical place to kind of share and multi-use. But yeah, I would say like a closet that, you could throw some kind of lock on or something.
Right, okay. So a multi-use room with, say, a series of lockable closets down one wall would be maybe something that would work for multiple organizations as long as they've got their secure space.
I would think so. I mean, if you look at, whether it be like our group or, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or, the Lions, perhaps, I don't know. I mean, it might be something to fundamental, just ask all the organizations, but yeah, that would be very advantageous for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dave Blatt.
Hey, Chris, I'd like to thank you for coming on your birthday. Is it ice cream or regular cake? Anyway.
Anyone can come over for a socially distanced cake. We have some extra.
You'll pass it to us in the driveway. I know.
That's right.
So your group, roughly, I'm sorry, I think you mentioned it already, but roughly how many people would come to an average meeting?
So our largest meeting was when we had our charter ceremony, and that was about 70, but that was by far the largest. When we did an event, it was on the order of 60, but I could see that growing. A meeting, we have a specific layout that they like to do their meetings. So a meeting room around the size of the public library community room works out really well. That it's guests as well as the various the folks that make up the grant. Yeah.
So roughly like if that's 1,000 square foot number, something like that.
Yeah, something like. I mean, I noticed a lot of the rooms that were already built there are like 30 by 30-ish, 31 by 32 or something like that.
Yeah,
that seems to be like that would be probably ideal.
Okay. And you mentioned so you mentioned community events. You mentioned the idea of like the benefits of a cafeteria or some place to make something hot would be beneficial, the storage. Okay, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your public comments, and I'm gonna personally let you enjoy your birthday.
Okay, thank you. Well, I get to go to a FinCom meeting now too, so. Happy birthday to me.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Brian.
Thanks. Happy birthday, Chris. Thanks for coming. A couple things that I just noted, not really so much questions, but it seems like a lot of organizations are going to be looking for multi-use space where other organizations are going to be coming and going. Could be using different size space depending on their events and their meetings. And then I think a lot of organizations are going to be needing that storage. So maybe some storage closets or storage areas that can be lockable. And then I still go back to the online calendar of an online calendar where organizations can select the meeting rooms that they want to go and meet at. And I think that was it. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing on the meeting calendar, one thing that might be good for the town to agree on is a common platform for that. The library has a pretty good system in place where you can seek reservations and reserve even out to a year out for times. So.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Great. Chris, thanks very much. Appreciate you coming.
All right. Thank you.
I will go to the next. Let's see. I have, we'll go with Corinne. Corinne, I'll give you the floor. Again, thanks for coming. I did forward your email to the committee, but it was really late. So I'm not sure.
Understandable.
You can assume that most did not do anything other than acknowledge it and maybe skim it. But
that's fine and understandable. I got it in there late. We just had an opportunity to get together, a few of us as a group, an outdoor meeting, socially distanced, and put together some thoughts and ideas other than just mine. Because as you know, I came to the meeting last time. Gave you my thoughts, but I wanted to make sure I had some thoughts gathered from some of the others as well. So I'm not going to go through everything again with you guys since you heard most of it already, and you can review the document that I sent. But I did get into a little bit more detail about our wish list, what we're looking for space, what we would use it for. And then there are some questions at the end of the document as well. Like we were wondering if the old freezer was still in place, and if that was able to be utilized, if it will be kept. Is the kitchen still working? We had heard that some of the equipment had been removed from the kitchen, but that is definitely something that we would be interested in being able to utilize as a kitchen space, similar to what some of the other groups said, for community events and things like that. Our space, I was asked that question the last time. Currently, we're filling about 500 square feet, and that's overflowing our original footprint of what was supposed to be about 300. So we're overflowing into about 500 square feet. And as I said, we would like more than that so that we can set up more of a walk-in with all of our racks, with all of our food on them, so that people could come and choose their food, similar to like a Loaves and Fishes or something like that. If we can't do that, we'd be definitely interested in a room where we can just put the shelves along the walls and then, lions fill baskets based upon people's orders, that type of thing. But obviously, ultimate wish list would be to have that walk-in opportunity. I think I'll stop there. If there's any additional questions right now, please ask. Next meeting, I will do my best to get one of the pantry coordinators here. So if there's anything specific that she wants to add, she can, and she just was not available tonight. She had a conflict.
okay. Thanks, Corinne. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, I'll open it up to comments. I'm going to go the other way this time. I'll start with Brian.
Thanks. I just want to say thanks, Corinne, for what your organization does, but I don't have any questions.
All right, Dave Blatt.
Once again, thank you for the organization and what you do. The pantry, is it open weekly, monthly for visitors?
Right now, we don't accept visitors because we are in the public safety building. So that's one of our holdbacks, of what's causing us to look for another space. Basically, we prepare boxes and then we bring them outside to meet the person who's coming to pick them up. But ideally, it would be best for the person to be able to come in and tell us, what their particular family wants and needs are, and choose things from the shelf as appropriate for them. I would say, it would be a by an appointment only type of a setup. We wouldn't randomly have people showing up.
Okay, and are these appointments usually during the day, during the evening?
Typically, yes, they've been during the day, and occasionally on weekends as well.
But also during the day?
Yep.
Okay, all right. And anything else at the Lions Club as far as the rest of it, thinking about rooms or thinking about other spaces, anything that you guys are, would be thinking of needing?
Yeah, and as I had mentioned last time, definitely meeting space is of interest to us still. Similar to the Grange, we meet in that community room at the library once a month, of course, pre-COVID. So a meeting space would be great if we can combine it in the same room, if there's enough room in which we are able to, set up our shelves in our store, then that would be fine. But if it works out that we'd have to share a meeting space with someone else, that would be fine as well. So, I think I could say we could be pretty flexible with our other needs, but, again, it's meeting space, store space, some storage, and if that freezer and kitchen are able to be utilized, we'd certainly love to do that and have community space for community dinners or things like that.
Okay, and roughly how many folks will be at a meeting?
I would say average is about 20 to 25.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. That's, once again, thanks for all you guys do, and appreciate you coming out here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave Passios.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. Corinne answered a lot of the questions I had initially at the last meeting. The one comment I would make, and it's a general comment, and it has nothing specifically to do with this group, but there's a lot of commenting about a food prep area, and I want this committee to be aware and very cautious with that type of an area, because when the kitchen was looked at for use by the AgCom as a community kitchen, the regulatory requirements under the local Board of Health and the State Board of Health were very, very, very limiting, or made it problematic because you had to accommodate certain regulations, such as individual storage of food. You could not commingle groups' foods in refrigerators, so on and so forth. So, that use can be very problematic to actually be functional under regulations in the state of Massachusetts. And I bring that out as a general comment, not one specifically to the Turkey Hill Lions Club. Other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a good comment. Given the COVID situation, those regs aren't likely to go away and might even become a little bit more impactful as we move forward with thinking about kitchen uses and things. So that's a good point.
Right. Also, I think Mr. Wanda would have a little bit of insight into the equipment, because some of it was moved out of that kitchen and repurposed elsewhere in the school district when it was decommissioned.
Yeah, I have a question, but John, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. On the freezer, so the freezer is intact. It has not operated in 8 years. So my take is you could get it back operational, but you probably have to bring in a refrigeration specialist to go through it and check it, but wouldn't be a problem to get that back in service. The kitchen, there aren't that many pieces of equipment that are left that are usable. There's a dishwasher that's usable. There is a range, but the convection ovens were removed, and so was the steamer. That being said, the kitchen, 68 years old, needs a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. My question relates to the walk-in possibility. Are there any are there privacy issues or anything like that comes along with that type of setup? Or maybe I'm there any need for,
There shouldn't be. You know, if someone chooses to come for themselves, that's fine. Sometimes we have people send someone else on their behalf. So the individual pretty much handles that as far as their privacy. And of course, we don't, you know, we don't release names or anything like that to the outside. So we hold their privacy, and then they choose whether they want to show up on their own or not.
and the only reason I ask is just because this would be a, you know, a public building by nature, and I know where you are. So do you do the actual delivering of the, like you said, you package the food into boxes and then you meet outside? Is that done at the public safety building?
Yes.
It is, okay. So that's a public building, I guess, but this building, you know, you could argue that will be more public, you know, more,
Right.
you know, there'll be a lot more happening.
Right. Yeah,
so
I don't
that's
see
fine.
that as a problem.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Corinne. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming,
you.
and we'll look forward to hearing from you in future meetings. So thank you. I think last, but certainly not least, is Steve Walker with PAC.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, let's keep this short. I'm here to listen, be available to answer questions if you need them. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, feel free, but sounds like Steve's just here as a participant in the meeting, so.
Sorry, I got to raise a hand here. Oh, sorry, raise a
Yeah,
hand.
go ahead, Dave. Yep, sorry.
Okay.
You guys are jumping around the screen.
I know. Steve, just a quick question is, in regarding to spaces, studio space during the day, during the evening, during the weekends, what is your anticipation for studio space? Not meeting recording, but actual studio.
We typically need to be available any of those times. So we need to have people who can be our people. They can be members of the public. When they're available, we try and schedule them any which. Typically it's evenings, but not always.
And that studio space that we talk about, what size of a space do you anticipate needing that?
All of PAC is 2,600 square feet, the way we have it laid out at the moment.
Okay, but I mean, is that optimized for, is that, you know, if you could optimize, is there a certain, you know, the studio size, I'm sorry, control room size, studio size, things like that?
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of numbers which I can share. It'll take quite a while, but the principal studio would be about 1,000 square feet. There would be a kitchen studio, an interview studio, a control room. I think we had a couple of 100 square feet. And then we need preparation areas, we need editing areas, we need equipment maintenance areas.
Gotcha. Okay. And would you, the preference to be all in a row, or it could be something on one side of the hallway, something on the other?
Both sides of a corridor for us would be very difficult indeed. Bear in mind that we need to have members of the public might want to come in the evening or a Sunday afternoon. And so we need to be secure ourselves, but if they're coming in for us on a Sunday, we need to be secured from all the town offices and other spaces as well. So the issue of security needs to be dealt with.
Okay, so the exterior doors can be beneficial to you.
Yeah,
in a way. Because every room at Passios has a door to the exterior, which is a unique for a building. So
right, but that needs to be properly secured and available for people to come or not come, and also hopefully have parking nearby.
Exactly. Okay. Just trying to figure out, you know, the Sunday laws. We're in Massachusetts, the blue laws. So I have to figure that out. Okay. All right. All right. Mr. Chair, that was all I had.
Okay. Brian?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Steve, for coming tonight. My question was in regards to the kitchen studio. I don't know if you could expand upon, just give us a historical reference on that. What are the needs, the desires? what's the past practice of dealing with people who wanted a kitchen studio?
Well, we're learning this right now. We're very small. We're learning this from visiting other PACs around the state. We would like something that lets us do cooking-based shows. And the problem is you can't just throw a camera into a regular kitchen. You need to have one, for instance, above the stove, then you have issues of cleaning it. For that kind of purpose, but if we have that, we would need a refrigerator and a freezer, and we would also have that available for whatever we have meeting rooms and studios and visitors.
Thank you. Another question to follow up on the kitchen studio. There was the talk in this committee in December about whether you had a budget for these kind of items, like components to the kitchen studio, or was it something that you would expect would be covered in the design?
We would expect the access to facilities be covered in the design, but the equipment would come under our budget. We have been accumulating capital money over the last few years because we do not have our proper studio space. We're waiting for it. So we have accumulated money, but that's covering, cameras, lights, all the things you can think of. Plus, we would like to include equipping a kitchen. The reason we bring it up here is the kitchen needs to have access to plumbing, vents, sprinkler systems, whatever. I don't know what we're doing for the whole building, but it's to make sure those facilities are available to us.
Thank you, Steve. That's all I had.
Okay. Dave?
Yep.
Dave Passios? Still got you on mute, Dave.
I keep doing that. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I think most of my questions with the conversation that's gone on here in the last few minutes have been answered. We're still shuffling the floor plan around a bit, and I think we'll positively have another round of conversations once we get to a point where the footprint is pretty close to what we think it's going to be for the project, and see what the pros and cons are for the last tweaking of anything. But at this point, my questions have been answered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks very much, Steve. And
You're welcome.
appreciate you participating here. Okay, I'm going to move on to our next agenda item, which is an update from the architects. So Tom and Ed, I will give you folks the floor.
Ed, would you like to start first?
Tom, or did you want me to give a quick update on the engineering side?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ed DeSalvio with DeGiorgio. Tom will speak towards the architectural side of the project. Just a quick update on the engineering side. We're wrapping up the land surveying. We got final information from the utility providers, gas and electric, and some of the others for the building. So hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have a 100% complete set of the land surveying drawings ready. And we're also in the process of setting up some additional site visits with our engineers to go back through the building to look at some different engineering aspects on the property. So hopefully within the next week or two, we'll have some more folks out on the site, and we're coordinating the site visits with John Londa. So engineering wise, things continue to move forward on the project. So with that being said, Tom, if you'd like to update the group on the work that you've been doing and the architects have been doing.
Sure. May I have control of the screen so we can do a screen share, or?
Yes. You gotta test me again on this. All right, how do I do this?
Tom, while he's doing that, this is Dave Passios, just like to ask a quick question about
Sure.
the floor plans that you sent us today. Are those protected somehow? I tried to print them because I like to have hard copies, and my printer gave me some diamonds on the paper, and that was it. Split the paper.
It's not protected. We just use the same format to print the PDF. So
Yeah. Okay. It's
You know,
something with,
that's an interesting that you say that. I've had clients that tell me the same thing happens on some of my drawings that I print to PDFs. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
yeah. Okay. Like I say, I like to have hard copies to look at and review, down the road, but we'll do something at some point to get them.
Right.
yeah, so I'm so glad there is a recording of the meeting, and so even though Ed and I were not in attendance, but we could listen in and try to extract all the comments. So we responded, and I think we got all the key notes and tried to respond by revising the diagrams. So what we hope to do tonight is to show the new options, and if it is possible, come up with a certain option or a hybrid of options so we can move on to do the more the room by room layout. But obviously we need to make sure that the adjacencies worked out. And so the other thing that we did is, and it was in one of the early emails, what you saw in the past few weeks were really a diagram based on an existing diagram. So it wasn't too accurate per se, but the information that we sent or that you received today is based on the CAD drawings, which is generated from the scanner. So the first option, so we are showing 4 options, but the first option is what you saw last week, so that we have a reference frame, because the drawing looked a little different between the original sketch and this iteration of the documents. And then we can, maybe I'll just start by going through option by option and do a quick overview, and then we can come back and discuss in greater details of what each option entails. Do you see the screen? I'll enlarge it a little bit.
Do. Yes.
Okay, so so this is what was shown last time. So some of the concerns, if I was that the town manager is dangling on the other side of the building and not really with the rest of the town offices, and other comments being that there seems to be a lot of fat in the plan per se, that there might be still some space we can use to create conference rooms or multi-purpose rooms or places to be used by different communities. A suggestion was made that maybe we swap the town manager's office with PAC, and so that we can put the town offices close to the town manager's office. One other comment regarding the town clerk's area, that there's that what we call an interim conference room, because their current program only needs about 1,000 square feet, and then during or close to the election time, they need another space to work. There was also a question about the miscellaneous offices, which is really there's an office for the Veterans Affairs, an extra office, undesignated office, and then there's an office for the legislature. So those are what we call miscellaneous offices. So this is just a high-level recap of your meeting from last time. So maybe I'll just switch to the proposed plan, to option 2. Someday I'll work this computer better. So the key thing in this plan is we moved the town manager's office from the what we call the center wing. We kind of swap and put the PAC over in this area. The other thing that we did for the town clerk was that instead of giving them designated 2,000 square feet, we're saying they have their 1,000 square foot space, but then their extra space will have a designated conference room for them. And so we moved the miscellaneous office from this area, which is by the front entrance, and turn it into a conference room. And that it would be, if it is near election season, they need the space upstairs, but during the rest of the year, other people can use it. So we free up, essentially create another meeting room or conference room near the entrance. The other change that we did was to, another comment was that we split up the extended daycare. The previous option shows extended daycare over here, but then another portion is down in the middle. So we kind of consolidate them together. The smaller extended daycare space are offices, not the play area, activity room area per se. So we also created a couple of smaller conference rooms here. So essentially we got the message that there should be more meeting rooms or more spaces that can be used by the community. So that's kind of a high level. The main move really is swapping the town offices and put PAC somewhere in the middle wing. And this is, I just put this down after Dr. Burnham mentioned about the offices should be away from the noisy activity area. So at this point in this particular diagram, we showed a storage space far removed from everybody else. And we're just thinking maybe instead of putting storage here, we can put school offices somewhere in this block. Just separate the superintendent's office and the special ed offices away from all the activities. So that's option 2. I know that's a lot of new information. So mind if I switch to another one, or do you want to discuss this?
We'll follow what you would like to, how you'd like to roll with that. So if you'd like to present everything and take questions at the end, we're happy to do that. Okay, so yeah, so again, the big move for this option is really move the town managers here, but move PAC to the middle of the building. But my concern is, and Steve probably will agree, is the whole sound acoustical separation. By putting PACs in the middle of the building here, and Steve mentioned a few minutes earlier that some of the studio spaces need to be accessible during the day. And I'm just afraid there's just a lot of activities after school with the extended daycare and the Boys and Girls Club trying to get to the gymnasium, but we might be able to isolate that corridor. But any case, so that's option 2. I'll jump to option 3. So option 3, where essentially is a combination of option 1 and option 2. We keep PACs back in the what we call the west wing here. Try to have them away from traffic. We put the town manager's
also close to where all the town offices are. And we still subdivide the town clerk space, keep the 1,000 square feet, and have a separate waiting area for a separate conference space, designated conference space for them. To centralize the staff area, we created a staff lounge that is centralized that is pretty close to where the town offices are. One of the other comments made was maybe, and in this particular scheme, we're moving the Boys and Girls Club to the center portion of the building, and maybe 1,000 square feet of that space can be used by some other programs as well. So we're keeping the same 4,000 square feet for the Boys and Girls Club, but we identify maybe 1,000 square feet can be used by some other departments, or maybe after hours. In this particular scheme, we put the superintendent's and the special ed office on one side, and we still maintain extended daycare in the north wing and ACE and the school offices and lounge together. So in this particular scheme, all the school programs are on the north wing, Boys and Girls Club in the middle, and some general town office type functions in the middle, but all the town related offices as well as PAC is on the in the west wing. So just one more, and we can go back for more detail. So the last option, which probably won't work based on what Dr. Burnham just said. The last option is we're saying, well, maybe we could keep the superintendent's office and the special ed office the way it is. So this scheme is pretty much the same as option 3, except that we are putting the superintendent office and special ed offices the way it is. Still put the staff lounge somewhere close to where the town offices are. And the Boys and Girls Club kind of straddle as an L between the center wing and the north wing. Extended daycare, preschool, and ACE is all wrapped around in the north wing. So these are just different ways to look at things, just visually show different potential options. I probably got you thoroughly confused, so we can start from option 2 again. Or if that might make more sense.
Yeah, why don't we, why don't we just open it up for questions from the committee and, you know, on relative to that presentation as a whole, and we can float to whatever plan folks have questions on. I suspect that members will have questions on multiple plans, so and they might interplay. So we'll see how we go here. So I will start with this time I'll start with Dave Blatt.
All right, first thing I got to do is unmute. Okay, so first I'd like to thank you for the work. This is 2, 3, and 4, very much like it, was showing a lot of progress here. If I have to look at things, I look at option 2 with some of the modifications you made as being the most I think the best beneficial out of all. With the idea of moving the superintendent and the special ed office into the town side, this would allow that to be a single entity for all town and school business related things, and folks would kind of isolate it even more from the rest of everything else. My couple of comments also is on the staff lounge. I personally would rather see us do something with the cafeteria and utilize one of those utilize part of that conference room as a staff lounge, with the possibility of moving a wall if you need to make a larger conference room. I don't like the idea of these separate staff lounges. Even as a corporate guy, I hate the staff lounge. You know, go to the cafeteria, sit there, enjoy yourself. You don't need to isolate yourself from the public, from everything else. Also in the center wing, you've done that conference room, which is kind of taking the two rooms. You have the red lines with the wall that's out. This is the L-shaped conference room number 5. Well, that one, yes. The thought is to cut off the L and make that storage so that as the Grange, as the Lions Club, as anybody else who wanted to use that could have a storage room to put their stuff in, bring it out for that conference and put it back in. So I thought that would be the best use of a community room. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whoever wanted to use it could be able to use that little section there for storage.
You mean the smaller one or the bigger size?
No, just the L part of the smaller one. Take the outside wall of the long wall and just extend it all the way across. Not that wall. No. Shoot, I can't do this. You can't see my.
The other direction.
The wall where the door is, Dave. The exterior door.
Yes, the conference, the room that says 1246 square feet.
Yes.
That room, that wall from that room, the outside wall, and extended it straight into where it says conference room 5, cutting off the L. And that way you can use that whole L section as storage.
You mean here?
Yes, that's correct, sir. So just as an idea, so that would help facilitate storage for community groups, things like that needed it. And I'm looking at that quickly. I'd say that's a good 400 square, probably a good 200 square feet that you have sitting there.
Dave, quick question.
Sure.
Would you think that then you're eliminating that outside door, or would you put a narrow hallway to tie into the conference room?
I'm eliminating the outside door. I don't really see it necessary to have an outside door for that conference room.
Okay.
However, you could still have the outside door, but they would have to go through this, maybe there's maybe a narrow hallway before the storage, but I'd rather use more room for storage.
Right. Thank you.
So maybe there is an outside door, but it can, it's only for those who use the storage area. They can bring things from a car or a vehicle in without having to drag it through the whole building. Okay. Next thing I have is if you go to the gymnasium, if you go down to the gymnasium, you have the storage room right there, the 653 feet of storage. I propose we leave that for the Lions Club and the pantry. And if you do that, you have the pantry availability right there. You have the outside door or the access to the outside that they can use. And so this would be for the pantry, and it would kind of give them a nice space. The only issue I have with that is just handicapped access because of a few steps to get in and out. We also have, and then there's also the storage above that area that could be used as well. That we haven't even talked about that. Okay, so there's this, there's that stairway. As soon as you come out of the hallway, there's a stairway that goes up to the upper level storage, or upper level room, I should say, up there.
Right, the stairs go up from here.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I stay on that point for a second, Dave? Sorry to interject.
No, go ahead. That's what we're here for.
I'm trying to remember how
it's easier than I thought.
How do you act? I'm trying to remember from our site walk, is that like a 3 to 4 step up from the gym floor? Okay, that's like the stage.
Yes.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And then so you access through the door right above your cursor, and then you go up a half flight of stairs and then into that space. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
With John.
So I guess my question is John, I can't see on my screen, but is John Londa still on?
He is.
All right, John, is there anything under the stage that would prevent us from just making the stage at ground level?
So currently access to the space under the stage and under the gym is through that room. So it's currently sprinklered and does have some electrical, probably has some HVAC ductwork for exhaust that goes to the air handlers for the gym. Most of it's open.
Okay. I'm just, like I say, my thought was on handicapped access, right? Because obviously we have to be concerned with that.
So I don't know if the Lions Club currently has handicap access to their current location. I believe they're upstairs in the safety.
Right. So Brian, I agree with you because right now they're bringing the boxes outside.
Yeah.
Right, to the people. I mean, this was the thought, if they have people coming in, if I have elderly or something like that, then I know it's only 4 stairs, but still, that's the thought type of thing. Perhaps we could do something else with like a window or something. And who knows if the HVAC stays underneath the gym floor. I don't know if it makes more sense to have ducts up in the gym, whatever's more efficient or something like that. Let's see, what other things that I had, and other than that, I liked, everything else was good. The only other question I had was this town clerk interim conference rooms.
Yes.
You have the 4 squares. I know it's not for the game. I can't point. Right in the middle of the room, there's those 4 squares. Are those closets? Or what is that right now?
That's the existing spaces, the existing rooms. So I believe there are closets.
2 restrooms and 2 closets.
So we can possibly get, we really don't need the restrooms in there. It could be something else. It could be just used as another conference room or an office room. Is that correct?
Or maybe we eliminate more walls or make it more open. I think the key thing is to agree on the adjacency so we can move to the next phase.
Sure.
We might end up putting some offices here and leaving, maybe we swap these 2 spaces kind of and take advantage of the existing walls and leave an open space here if they need.
Okay. Because we've talked about this in the past too, of utilizing cubicles or movable walls or something like that, because as you mentioned, these offices are only going to be used part-time or just for certain areas. Okay. Other than that, I think I did quite a bit there, but other than that, I think everything is good because moving special ed and superintendents to the other side, the other wing, would now free up an additional, looks like 1,500 square feet for future offices there, as well as the office lounge. So across from PAC, you have the special ed, the office lounge, and those offices could be now future rooms, as well as the superintendent's office too, could be a future use.
Right, because we're eliminating the lounge and move it towards in the cafeteria area.
Right. So we could probably work that out. Okay. So that's Mr. Chair, that's everything I had from a quick look at things. And I appreciate the comments from the rest of the audience there.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I will
No
go
problem.
to Dave Patsios next.
Yeah, I haven't digested this whole thing. It's jumbled around from what's in my computer that we received this afternoon, so it's kind of hard to pull it all together. One of the things I'm kind of thinking at right at the moment, and the way that it's projected on the screen right now is perfect, is that do we have any flow of students versus public issues with PAC being in that central hallway and accessibility for the programs in the back corridor to get to the gym? And it's just, I'm not clear that we've got a separation there that we're going to you know, that we're not going to mix student activity with general public accessing PAC.
Yeah, I had that similar question.
That's kind of why I like PAC up on the end of the corridor on the front corridor, but I'm not sure where it works better. But I definitely do have an issue with the traffic that's going to be traversing that corridor, accessibility wise, and securing sections of the building to protect student flow.
Mr. Chair, is Steve still on the line? Could he comment on that?
I don't see him.
Okay. See, just when we needed him for that question, huh?
I don't see him. I think his comments last week were that he wanted to be, I don't think he liked the remote location that it was shown previously. I think he really wanted to be central. But I think that's more of an issue. It's more of a, Dave's question points more towards a global issue with, I don't know.
I think segmenting the building, as we've talked about before, being careful that the adjacencies don't bring the general public through areas that our student programs are going to be also using at the same time is a huge issue.
I see that concern, Dave, but I guess, aren't we going to have that issue inherent at any point because of the location of the gym? I mean, we're going to have kids using the gym, which is going to be, regardless of where you put, you're going to have kids intermixing, I don't know. I'm talking out loud here, but the only other thing I was thinking about that sort of dovetails into what Dave was saying was someone mentioned soundproofing, and I would think that would be harder to do between in a hallway that's heavily traveled versus in a spot that's more isolated. I don't know. That's a tough. I mean, yeah.
I think we all need to think that through a little bit more. I don't think we can really, I can't settle that in my mind this evening because I need to see this whole layout on a bigger screen so I can kind of peruse the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was trying to get a hard copy. I know Brian's got some comments and issues. I'm done for right now. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Brian.
Thanks, Craig. I agreed with Dave Blatt too. I like 2 and 3. One thing I had mentioned, I like the idea of the staff lounge. I think keeping that staff lounge area makes sense. It's closer, shorter walk. Some people I don't think are going to want to walk all the way to the CAF. I also believe it opens up some space too for potential expansion. I know at my school, I literally lost my staff lounge to add another classroom. So I think it offers some opportunity for expansion as well. I thought the idea of having multiple conference rooms with multiple storage components that's like clean that you don't even see. I always think of the library. You don't even see the storage area in the library meeting room. So just kind of clean storage that people don't really see as sticking out in multiple sections or multiple rooms. I thought PAC should be good with the soundproof no matter where they are. One thought was potentially having an outdoor entrance for PAC as an addition so that they could access it at different times of the day, or they didn't have to open up, say, the hallway towards traffic. And then same idea for potentially Boys and Girls Club, that they could access outside. I did like the Boys and Girls Club. I mean, it's tough to say where they can go because they're going to have to use the gym, but my thought is they're going to have adult supervision when they're going to the gym. So there are some multiple options there, and they're going to want to have access to outside, so maybe an outdoor access door so they can skip going through the halls. I agreed with the Lions Club pantry location. I thought that was a great idea. I was thinking of that location as well. And that would be something I would definitely recommend looking into about the handicapped access, whether that's going to be needed for that location. I like the idea of having the town clerk additional space near the gym because I know the voting occurs at the gym. So I thought that would be a closer location. Maybe that would make it easier for them, but that would be something I would definitely want to check in with the town clerk as well with. I like the idea of the PAC being separate from the town offices, because if we do look to expand in years to come, we don't want to be having to move PAC where they spent lots of money on designing these studios, where they would probably be the first one to move if we need space. Where if there is the superintendent office, I think that would be a little bit easier for the superintendent's office to move out of the town office location. So I think that creates a little bit more flexibility for future. And I think also that location gives the school offices room to expand. I know the superintendent in her 5-year plan or 10-year plan, they're looking to get an assistant superintendent or a curriculum coordinator. So I think having that availability for expansion too, for school offices allows some possibilities there. I think that was it for my notes. Thanks.
Okay. I had a couple things. Did this plan, I know we're not down the road with more detailed plans, but did you have in mind to repurpose the kitchen and re-bring that? And I'm talking, this is directed to Tom and Ed. Are you sort of embarking down that road, and would it have a similar flow to how it has now, where you'd use that conference room 3 and 4 as sort of a multi-use area? Is that what you have in mind, or?
Yeah, so we were thinking that for one of them is going to be big enough to replace the current big meeting room on the 2nd floor in Town Hall. That's like 22,000 plus square feet, and plus another space and a smaller conference room. So if need to, basically we're saying it's a space that is big enough, that is bigger than what you have in Town Hall, which is the biggest public meeting space that you have right now. But it can be subdivided into smaller rooms. And to answer your other question, that yes, we were thinking that to re-equip the kitchen or somehow bring it back to code. So because there's just a lot of discussions from different groups of needs for some sort of a kitchen space.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think you answered my next question. So basically, your intention for conference room 3, 4 would be to, where the cafeteria is now, would be to put some sort of divider system in there that you could divide the space up?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I like the fact that there's 5 conference spaces here. I think we're going to need that. I see meeting spaces sort of comes at a premium, and I think so. I like the fact that we have that flexibility. One question I had about Dave Blatt mentioned the storage up above the stage where we were talking. Does are there any accessibility issues with that space? Are there things that we can put there that do not need to have accessibility? Or will use of that area sort of necessitate a lift or something like that?
I would say if it is an unofficial store space.
So just sort of bonus space. Yeah, okay.
It's like the attic of a house. We're not programming it into it, but it's just up there.
Yeah, it's extra space.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
I just wonder too if we can use it as storage without having to pay more money for accessibility, potentially maybe moving a storage place to that, and maybe Lions Club, if they need more access, taking over one of the other storage spaces. don't know if that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's where my mind was going too. But that's what prompted the question. If you call it storage space, now do we have code issues with accessibility that could be costly? So,
And I think that's what Tom just said, was that it's basically, you leave it as unused space and it can be used any way you want, but as soon as you program it for a particular space, then you kick in the regulations.
mhm.
So just don't tell me about it, then we won't show it, and end of the day, I won't go to jail.
That was actually the reading specialist area up there back in the 50s and 60s. So it was used extensively, but with today's accessibility regulations, you'd have to put an elevator or a lift in there.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
go ahead, Dave.
We go to
Dave Blatt.
Harbor, right? We go to Harbor Freight. We get one of those front hitch lifts, hoists.
Yep.
And they go right up to the ceiling, you know? I'm just kidding. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make comments, go back. Brian, understand, Brian, I appreciate, and I thinking about it, is since you've used it more than I would, the idea of the staff lounge, leaving the staff lounge in that area sounds perfect. It's a nice area, could be used as a quick conference room even, or something like that, if people wanted to get together, like 4 people wanted to quickly get together to have a conversation. So I do like that staff lounge, the idea of the staff lounge, leaving that in the town wing, the smaller one in the town wing, right? So, I mean, I don't know how many people would use the staff lounge at once, but I'd assume you can get 10 people in there without a problem.
Which one are you talking about, Dave? What?
That one, the one he just put in blue.
Oh, I got something over them. I see. Okay, yeah, I got it.
So this would be it's for the town employees and the school employees don't have to go and walk through the whole place or anything like that. Sounds like a nice place. If you needed to have a quick meeting or talk to somebody, sounds like a nice area you can go into to do that. So that I like.
Yeah, I think some people aren't going to want to walk all the way down to the caf for lunch. It's going to be too long for them.
Understand. And as well as, like you say, so you want to have a coffee break. Do I want to walk all the way down there for 10 minutes, quote unquote, 10-minute coffee break, or do I want to just grab something there? I also, part of the green in me, like says, hey, we don't want to have coffee makers in everybody's office. So maybe the staff lounge is an area where you can have a coffee, like a little bit of a coffee making, a coffee station, a refrigerator, a sink, or something like that, just to make it, one area that they go to, that they don't each have their own individual one. Because that's one of the issues we have today, is that every town office has their own, is having their own coffee maker. And that doesn't help us with the green side of things.
Yeah. I had another question relative to PAC and their request for kitchen space. And it sounds to me like they would be looking to outfit that kitchen with their budget. But how does, presumably we would need to plan in, plumbing and that kind of stuff. Is that what you envision for that, or how would we work that out if that's the way we end up going?
So, Mr. Chair, you do have somewhat plumbing, because behind that 423 feet that was the superintendent's office is a bathroom.
Yeah, but still, you'd have to. Well, I don't know. I'm asking the question. How would that work?
We will have to design it as if it were, because of the type of equipment that they have, which includes stove and burner and stuff, that it has to be designed as a commercial kitchen. So when we do the pricing in the design development phase, we're going to make sure that we have the HVAC and the plumbing, all that connections will be included. I mean, essentially, it's a small commercial kitchen. That's how I understand it.
So you'd wire it for it. You'd run gas. You'd put the plumbing in or whatever. Yeah. But we wouldn't put any of the fixtures in.
Right, because that would be what we call an owner furniture
Owner furnished equipment.
item. But we need to have the infrastructure in place. The other thing that when I met with Steve in the past is that the master studio, he needs a higher ceiling. So I haven't asked him how high the ceiling is. So there's a possibility we might have to raise the structure to accommodate all the lighting and stuff. So right now we just put a note that requires higher ceiling as a.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'm really concerned about the sound and the traffic. So as we're laying out when we start laying out the rooms, we may create some sort of an internal corridor just to create another buffer and also security.
Okay.
I know that there's a lot of sound insulation type architectural systems out there, but it's just the vibration. I just assume the kids will be running down this hall, and if somebody's taping a session, that's just hard to isolate it.
Yeah, you're gonna knock out the noise like us talking, but yelling and loud, higher decibel and higher frequency stuff is gonna be harder to take out. Yeah, the vibrations and stuff. Right?
Yeah, and also back to the issue about higher ceiling. So if we were to raise the ceiling, there'll be structural issues, and it probably kick the whole interpretation of, or kick it to a higher level of building compliance. That I'm sure Ed would love to do something like that structurally, but it would cost money.
Yeah, if I could just throw my 2 cents in about the structural, if the roof has to physically be raised the roof structure, the existing roof is actually a horizontal diaphragm with horizontal X bracing across that whole classroom ring. And if one, say over the master studio, if that goes up, we'd have to design a new structural frame. You're going to extend the columns or need new columns coming up from foundation, all new roof framing, the lateral load resisting system for that space, you would need a new one, and you'd have to reinforce that pack wing for lateral loads because now you're making the original diaphragm discontinuous. So physically raising the structure, it certainly can be done, it can be designed, but it's going to certainly cost more construction dollars to reframe that lateral load resisting system in that part of the building.
Man, God bless you, Ed. That's why I went into wet side of civil engineering.
Ed, Dave Passios, do you have those same issues on the end of the front corridor?
Where's that?
Oh, if you put
out at the end of the front corridor where you had the master studio and one of the plans.
Yeah, where it says school offices.
The building structure is the same on those two wings.
Okay.
You've got the elevated section where the corridor is that pops up. It's all framed the same way, those two wings. So you've got horizontal X bracing in the roof over all the classrooms. So it's one plane over the classrooms. It's your roof diaphragm for wind and seismic loads. So raising up a piece of that makes it discontinuous. So there's a lot of structural reframing that's needed, not only for the room, but you need to reinforce the piece of the building where you're taking out that lateral load resisting system.
So Ed, quick question. What is the height of the room today?
Yeah.
Offhand, I'm not sure what the dimension is.
Okay. I mean, because I'm looking at it, and so the two questions going to be what the height is today and what the height is to the web. Because, if the height to the web is 15 feet or something like that, then it's a moot point. We can insulate the roof and they can use the girders to hang lights or something like that. So it actually might be a benefit to them.
The ceilings are tight to the girders, the steel girders that are in the classrooms now. The way they frame the ceilings, they ran wood framing members.
Okay.
I think they're 2x4s. across the classroom. So they actually connect into the bottom flanges of the steel beams that are in the roof. So there's not, you really can't push the ceiling up, or you'd see the bottom flanges of the steel beams.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the studio, I'm not
Yeah,
worried.
it's tight right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Brian.
maybe you could open those up. I mean, I don't know, but maybe you could open those up and have I don't know, maybe you need fireproofing, I don't know, but
I'd like to see what the required height is that they need, and also
I
what
remember, I
current
thought I
height is.
remember Steve
We can
saying
get those numbers.
last week that he felt like he had just enough where they were now.
I like
Yes.
that idea.
And I said, worst comes to worst to me is we expose the steel girders, and he uses that as his extra height. Because his height is to really run wires or hang lights. And LED lights is not much weight. It's less weight than the ceiling is.
Yeah, can you hang the lights? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we all want to be creative on this because nobody really wants to raise the roof. and-
Yeah, raising the roof sounds, yeah.
As exciting as it is, I don't think we want to raise that.
I'd love to design it.
Yeah.
We got the party started already. Okay.
So just back to Tom's idea with the with the hallway there. So, hearing Dave Passio's concerns, it sounds like you have some things kind of rattling around in your brain that could address some of those concerns with sort of intermixing of, traffic flow in the hallway relative to that use. So, I mean, that's good. Be interesting to see what you come up with there.
I wonder if it's possible, granted that we've been assuming the students will be coming from this entrance because it's closer to the school to come this way. I wonder if they're using the gymnasium, if they can come directly from here, try to.
I thought the same thing. I just worry about the winter. It's going to be the winter months could be.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way it works, though. I mean, when my kids go to extended day, they check into extended day, and then they I don't know how they go to the extended day program, which is in the classroom first, and then they have the opportunity to go to the gym. They would never be able to go right to the gym. You have to go right in, sign in, and you sort of start your session and end your session there. So there's a.
And they could be going in shifts back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
I
in
don't
nicer
know
weather, they might be able to go outside.
Yeah, I don't know how that works with like the Boys and Girls Club. I don't know if they have freedom to.
So the Boys and Girls Clubs have to sign in and sign out. So
Okay, so
obviously it's the same thing. They got to account for every kid. And, those kids are already walking from the high school, from the middle school to the Boys and Girls Club. So for them to walk to the side entrance, if you wanted to flip it and for them to walk to the side entrance, it's not that big a deal.
And they're still going to be going back and forth too.
But they still have to check into the program first before they get to the gym.
Oh, that's definitely, no, they have to check in. They have to check into the program as well as they have to check out to say, I am going to the gym.
So you're still going to have multiple, and that's kind of my point, what I was saying. You're still going to have multiple passes, along that corridor.
And it seems like PAC is going to be a better fit than, say, the town clerk or the town manager going there.
You mean you mean in this area?
Yeah, in that area. It makes sense for the layout as it's drawn.
I think if we were to create a secondary corridor, it may not be as bad. Granted that there'll be a lot of traffic.
So the other thing about those uses are pretty, I mean, I know that Steve said that he has the need for day and evening and, weekdays and weekends, but you're not going to have this issue on the weekends. You're not going to have this issue during the day up to, say, whenever, 2:30. You're going to have a relatively confined window when you're going to have this issue. And I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but perhaps it's an opportunity for them to program more sensitive studio sessions outside of those timeframes. I don't know.
Mr. Chair, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, we're looking at a 3-hour window where they would have to say Monday through Friday for these 3 hours, do it at your own risk.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we shouldn't mitigate safety. Safety and things like that are certainly paramount. But I'm just saying to sort of I'm further developing my issue relative to the sound. I think that, maybe it's a little less of an issue.
Maybe there's those lights outdoors that says, it highlights red that we're on the air, don't come in.
Right, do that, yeah, which, I don't know, if my kids wouldn't listen to that. I don't know.
I'm wondering if that area could be compartmentized, and again, depending on how the parking lays out on this back side of the building, have the main access to PAC come in from the back wall from the outside. Then you could secure that hallway in the daytime completely from PAC.
Actually, guys, what if we just do this? What if we flip the two sides there? If you put PAC on the right side and the other stuff on the left, this way there's the two doors and there's that parking lot right there. There's a parking lot right there already.
Yeah.
And, this is giving them ample space to kind of do. So it's something to maybe think about that way.
Tom, any initial thoughts, problematic or pluses to doing that as you're doing it?
I think that makes, because the back is hard to get to, because it looks like between scheduling and flipping this, we'll have access to the parking lot, and that would also, by doing a different schedule to limit when they should do taping, it would solve the problem. That was my initial concern, locating it PAC over here because of the traffic going to the gym. And also with an exterior entry situation, we can avoid the public from coming into the inside.
Central
That
corridor.
could be staff only. And we can use different door systems or something to secure that corridor.
I think that's an excellent move.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. And
the other question we had is that ACE was looking for a kitchen as well. So now we have we're talking about 3 kitchens here in this place. So I like it. I like the idea of being able to investigate this, what really entails a studio kitchen. Is it just that they have to have a camera that can be clean? Is it, really understanding, do we really need to put 3 kitchens in here? Or 2, or even 2 kitchens in here? Or can ACE and PAC share a kitchen or something to that effect? So I'm just trying to come up with.
Just to throw out, from what I know about the ACE program, it's teaching life skills. So it's like, can you microwave food?
Right.
Work in oven. So I think it's much different than, say, the PAC studio. And I just don't know what the requirements are for putting in, say, an oven for the kids to be practicing how to cook.
Understand. So I was looking at the same thing, like microwaving it, but it just was, I'm trying to save a kitchen, save a little bit on plumbing, and everything else like that. And what comes around on a kitchen. So that's just a thought.
But at the very least, co-locate the thing so it's, not running, I don't know, get the plumbing line up or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
The kitchen, I was happy to hear that PAC has budget for that, because I think that's going to be a lot of money.
Okay.
The other plus to flipping this corridor is that, looking at this anyway, if you put ACE directly across the hall from where it is now, you have plumbing in that student toilet area. You should have most of the plumbing you need for their kitchen. And then you move PAC to the other side, and there's at least basic plumbing in what's presently the superintendent's area, which is, special ed right at the moment in this drawing. So your adjacencies to existing plumbing are better when we flip it, I think.
Right.
May I
And
jump back to the conversation?
Sure.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Sorry.
So did we decide that it would be better off if we move the superintendent and special ed to this wing to kind of clear that area some more and just,
I personally, I vote for that. Makes more sense. It kind of gives them that isolation they want. And yeah, thumbs up. Brian, what's the little one think? And yeah, looks like he's got the smile on for that idea too.
Yeah, so you would basically, you'd move the storage and the miscellaneous office, you'd flip that with the office, with the special ed and superintendent. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
and then also when I talked to Dr. Burnham hate to say last summer, it seems such a long time ago, back in July. Her concern was not to, at that point, she pointed that she wanted to have a separate staff lounge because of the whole security issue of walking into a public corridor and then back into town offices. But now that everybody's together in the same wing, then that's another argument to have that staff lounge in that wing. And then we eliminate another space, so that means there's more space for another conference room or office or so forth.
Right. Yeah. More community space.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else?
Tom, when we get done shuffling this thing around, can you update it and send it to us in the near future, and maybe try to be sure it's a printable format?
Sure.
Would appreciate that.
Send him the PDF. Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
It was a PDF.
Yeah, no, my printer would not print it.
I can volunteer, Dave, and any other members of the board. I can print these out on large format. So I guess just email me if you want that, and I can do that and get it to you.
Okay.
Because these are 11 by 17 formats.
Okay. Well, I can print them on 11 by 17 too. So whatever.
Okay.
I could do that in-house, so to speak, Tom, so we can get and distribute them hard copy. If that's easier for you, Dave, just let me know.
And the last question I had is that spot right across from the student toilets next to the extended daycare, is that a closet or what is that?
There are 3 rooms that don't go all the way up to the ceiling that ACE is using some of the space. So it's some storage function, I believe.
Okay, so we'd have to figure out whether we want to keep that as storage or just open the corridor up more.
Right, or maybe bring this wall
over,
make this bigger.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you gentlemen, Tom or Ed, need to share?
So the next thing is more about next step, and I guess it tied into the next meeting. And we would, in order to have this report and the cost done before the end of October, we really need to keep moving, because there's only so much we can discuss in each meeting. So we anticipate, we have a good guess after tonight's meeting that after shoveling some of those departments around, we will get the adjacencies right. And we will start, the next time we'll start showing some more detail layout, which we anticipate a couple of more meetings. And then after that, we will have to get to design development. So with the end of October coming sooner than we think, we probably need to have meeting number, we need to add another committee meeting at least to keep the momentum going.
Okay.
So
I did not share your schedule, Tom, so I apologize for that.
So I guess the next thing is we can have some sort of a diagram of this level by early next week and distribute to the committee.
Okay.
And then by the middle of next week, we should be able to get the room-to-room detail layouts to start discussing if the room layout within each department works. So I don't know what the schedule is.
Well,
I guess I need to look at the, I think
yeah, we have
19
another meeting scheduled for the 21st, which is 11 days away. So it's not next Monday, but the week after that. So it sounds like that might be good, right?
Yes, yeah. I forgot about the 21st. I thought.
Yeah. So we have the 21st, and I think we did that at your request because you thought we might need another meeting in September. So we put one in. We put two in. So that sounds good. If we get a sort of an updated adjacencies early next week, we can distribute it and be on our way for the 21st.
So
That
is
makes
Mr. Chair, do you
Yeah,
want,
go ahead, Dave.
if he sends us the adjacencies, do you want us to, send comments back to you if we have them?
Yeah.
That way the Monday meeting would he would have already gone through the comments.
Yeah, we filtered. Well, yeah, and we can filter them back to. We can even filter them back to Tom and Ed prior, and they could be,
Right. No, that my thought is just because of, open meeting law, everything has to go through you. We can't discuss it or anything like that.
Yep.
So therefore, if we send them to you and you send it to them, then that's fine.
Yep. I think that's fine. Yeah. Yep.
Tom,
Brian.
does that move the, I'm sorry, Brian, just one very quick question,
Go ahead, Dave.
Tom,
Yeah,
if
sorry.
I may, through the chair. Tom, does that move that forward quickly enough as you had in your mind when you started with that proposal? Is the 21st soon enough?
in fact, and again, I want to make sure we stay with the regulations that we will also send you by the middle of end of next week, start sending you plans of the layout of the departments so that if you have any comments before the 21st, we might be able to tweak it.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll send you 2 sets of documents, and it may look a little out of coordination because we may not have updated the comments from the adjacencies. But we'll figure something out. But if we can get 1 or 2 rounds of your comments before the 21st, the 21st, the meeting is at 6 o'clock, so we still have a day during the day to update drawings. So if we somehow manage to get comments before Friday, then some of us can continue to work between Friday and Monday and keep the project moving.
Okay. Well, loud and clear. So if we can get comments to you as early, ASAP after receiving their plans next week, that earlier the better for you.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we send you something, the adjacencies by noon on Monday.
Okay. Can we all agree to try and review it by close of business Wednesday?
Yep.
And I'll send Tom what we have close of business Wednesday, and that gives him Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Yeah, and hopefully we can crank it out before Friday so that
Yeah. Well.
you
Okay.
have
But
time to look at it.
yeah, we'll try to do that.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Brian. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know if this was for Greg or Tom, but I feel like we're getting close to kind of that point of almost no return. Is there a point, and I don't know if it's before the 21st or maybe it is after the 21st, that we reach out to the end users, whether it's Tom or I guess I would assume, but reaching out to the end users and seeing if they had comments before we kind of set it in stone?
Well, we're actively inviting participation. There'll be we'll talk about this next, but there'll be a ledger article inviting, soon on
Well,
that.
so
So,
I guess mine was more of in regards to Tom had interviewed, the plan.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
the treasurer. I always guess I was thinking more of the people who are already in this diagram.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yep.
sense? Did we have in the list of items that Tom was going to be planning to do? Tom and Ed planning to do was a second round of interviews, or not really interviews, but getting feedback from the end users on the design? Or is that later on? Or,
Yeah, I would think, especially the layouts, once we start getting into the layouts, I think we want to have the end users input.
You mean next step, Dave? Or adjacencies?
That's correct.
Next step? Yeah.
Well, I think
mean,
the
there's not much-
adjacencies we're addressing well.
Yeah.
It's more the layouts. I mean, for us to tell them how it should be laid out. My biggest thing is I like to, as much as we can, have open spaces with movable walls. So that, you know, when we do go to reconfigure, or if things have to change, it's easier it's easier to be able to do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So like, you know, you have,
Everybody started at once. Quick question.
Go ahead, Dave. Yep.
This service counters for each of the service counter needs for these departments. Tom, do you have a plan to build those into those particular areas? I'm assuming you are.
Yeah, one of the next step, and we've started thinking about it, is it connects with wayfinding and also being friendly to the community, user friendly. So we want to create some sort of standard, some sort of a module along the corridor so that that incorporates the transaction counters. And also by changing the wall material or the ceiling material, we don't count on signage to lead people into those departments. I mean, there might be the name of the department, but it's just, we got some pretty long corridors, so we want to make sure that it's easier for the public to find, and the transaction counter is actually an element we can use to draw people in.
So in most cases, will that be a transaction counter that's built into the corridor wall, or a mix of that and actually internally in the rooms?
I think there should be something along the corridor wall to just open it up, and I will have to negotiate with my friend Ed as far as not triggering more structural reinforcement by cutting open some walls, some existing walls.
As long as you don't move a column. There's columns in the walls.
Yep.
Oh, come on. I just,
I could do a sky hook.
More fun for the structural
I
engineers.
can pick the color, that's fine.
Yeah, let's try to make this as boring for the structural engineers as possible. That's my vote.
What, we can't take all the corridor walls out?
In fact, seriously, we're trying to keep the existing classroom walls as much as we can. We might open up a doorway or something to connect, but we're trying our best not to touch those walls.
Now, it's my understanding those are not structural though, correct? From the center hallway wall to the outside wall, any of those dividing walls between classrooms.
The majority of the dividing walls are not structural, they're wood framed, but there are columns on both sides of the corridors, and there's columns towards the outside walls. They're inset a little bit from the outside walls, but typically where the existing partitions are between the classrooms, there's a steel beam in the roof directly above the partitions, and there's a column at each end, one being fairly close to the outside wall, the other one being in the corridor wall. But
okay.
But
yes,
you can open up a lot of that wall without having an impact.
you can, right, right.
So that's good. And you know, I just, regarding the service counters, I think that the town halls I visit that have service counters along the hallway, to me it really is a lot nicer and more inviting, I think I would say. It feels much more accessible than having to walk into a door and then have a room where there's a service counter. you know, it just seems to have a better feel to me. I mean, that's just my 2 cents, but all right. So okay, I think we have a plan for next week in advance of the meeting on the 21st. Anybody else before we move on?
I think you hit it all.
Okay. Thanks, Tom and Ed. Appreciate it. We'll look forward to
Welcome.
seeing the next iteration, and we'll get back to you with comments as fast as we can.
Great.
Okay, community outreach. I have finally got the ad will be forthcoming in the ledger. I had to kind of coordinate payment and things on that. So we're good to go there. And I'm not certain which publication we're going to be in, but obviously I missed advertising for this meeting. So, but certainly we'll have the next one in there. So I just wanted to update.
Are you kidding me? The Ledger is making you pay for something about the town?
Yeah, it's $20.
Oh, so the conservation, everybody pays every time they put something in the Ledger.
Well, the Concom definitely does. That's borne by the applicant.
Yeah.
For the public hearings and stuff. But
Okay. It's just one of those things.
yeah,
Oh,
I guess print is print, right?
I guess so. Yes. No problem.
So anyway, I just wanted to give you an update that I have initiated that.
Okay.
It just took a little longer than I wanted. I was gone for a lot of the time between last meeting and this weekend as well. I was out of town, so
We'll forgive you. Don't worry.
wearing a lot of hats here. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything on community outreach? I mean, I think it's important. I guess I just want to reiterate, any chance we get to invite folks, let's use it. So whatever forum you have, and Brian at school committee and Dave at ZBA and Dave Passios at whatever 5 or 6 board meetings you attend, that's terrific. And
Okay. So I guess the other question would be is, once you have this thing written for the Ledger, should we post it on, should we somehow get it on the Town of Luneburg Facebook page or some of the Luneburg, chat sites type of thing? Because that I don't think we'd have to pay for.
no, you wouldn't think so. Yeah.
I'm not a Facebook person, so I got gray hairs. I don't know Facebook.
I'm a Facebook person, but barely. Heather, are you still on the call?
Yes, I am.
Can I coordinate with you on that about creative ways to get that, other ways to get that disseminated? Yeah. Okay.
Certainly.
All right. I'll do that.
If there's anything else that you want on the TCP page on our website too, we can add
Yeah.
that.
I've been thinking through that too. Yeah. All right. Well, so we'll, you and I will have a conversation offline and we'll come up with that.
Okay.
Okay. The fall special town meeting article. We decided last time that we want to have an article. We decided we'd wait to draft it until either tonight or I guess it would have to be next meeting because when does the warrant closes?
The 29th.
Oh, 29. Well, so yeah, so it'd have to be the next meeting. So you need the actual draft of the warrant article?
By the 29th, yes.
Anyway, can we just discuss, let's just discuss this. We decided that it's just going to be a update article, correct?
That's my understanding, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to be ready for. So I think that I can do this language. It's pretty simple. We'll just say something to the effect of to see if the town will vote to hear an update presentation from the TCP Building Design Committee and the architectural team or the architectural team or something like that. I think it can be pretty generic. Am I right on that, Heather?
Yes.
Okay.
You could use
So
pretty much
I'll
the same
put-
wording as you did
Okay.
last time.
Yeah, I'll put a draft of that together and have that language in front of the committee next meeting so that we can vote formally on that in advance of the 29th. Good?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Heather, just on another side, you need me, could I do something for the green? Same thing? As an update article?
Green communities.
Oh man, you're mixing
Green
meetings
group.
here, Dave.
You're making our town meeting longer. Yes.
No, you gotta, if you let me present, it can be done in 10 minutes, but nobody will understand a word I said. But, you know.
Yes.
Okay, I'll write something up for you. Thank you.
All right. Does anybody have any new business? Okay. Review and approve minutes. I didn't see a draft of any new minutes. I'm very close to the two that I need to do. I'm going to do last meeting's minutes because Tana was absent. Looks like I may do tonight's as well. So I don't have any tonight, but I will certainly have some for the next meeting. So.
All right. I should have mine completed as well for the next meeting.
Okay, great.
Greg. I can double check the list, but if there's anything that Michael Mackin needed to do, I can take those minutes.
Okay, there certainly is. So, okay, Brian, I appreciate that. I'll coordinate that with you. Thank
Greg,
you.
were you able to locate the ones that had been approved and submitted to the town
I did.
clerks?
I need to. I haven't checked back with the clerk on what the story is there, so I will do
Okay.
that. But I do have 3 sets of the first 3 meetings we did. I remember I did a couple.
Right.
I did the first 2, and I think Mike did 1, and then and I submitted them. So I just haven't touch base on that yet, but I will do that.
Okay.
Okay, future meeting schedule. Tom and Ed, do you want to weigh in on that? So obviously we have the meeting on the 21st, and then do you want to look ahead into October?
I'm a very greedy person. I like your time. So I wonder if it is possible the week after the 21st, any day of that week. I just am, I'd rather keep the momentum going, and if we're ahead, that'll be great. But what I anticipate is that it will take us a couple weeks to go through what we call schematic design, which is really understanding where all the layouts of the individual rooms are. And then it would take another couple meetings to go through design development, which is talking about the details in each room. And so we're talking about at least 4 weeks right here between, and that will put us to mid-October, and then it will take us a couple of weeks to put the pricing and all the engineering support together. So I don't know if there's any good the week after.
Yeah, so you're talking the week of the 28th, the last week in September.
Yeah.
Greg, could I propose Thursday the 1st?
You certainly can.
Just throw it out there and see what comes back at me.
I was gonna say, since it's the 5th week of the month, there shouldn't be a selectmen's meeting on the 29th. I know I don't have a meeting on the 30th, so that week
No
should be
school committee
available.
meeting either.
Right. You do or not, Brian?
No, I'm open.
Okay, so the only constraint I think we would have then is going to be planning board will be on the Monday.
Mhm.
And
Well,
I think
Yeah, that's right.
there probably would be a FinCom on the Thursday, or no?
No, I think it's on the 24th, and then it would be on the second Thursday
Okay,
in
second and
October.
4th. Okay,
Yep.
so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, does anybody have any issues either way? Why don't you want to do the Tuesday? Because
Yeah, my
Heather,
preference
when
is Tuesday because Thursdays are difficult sometimes for me.
okay.
Yeah, Heather, capital planning, did we set a date for the next one, didn't we?
22nd.
Okay, that's the week
Oh, okay,
before.
yeah, okay, that's fine.
And we're sure
Okay.
the select board is not meeting? Remember, it's the select board, not the board of selectmen.
No,
Uh,
meeting on the 29th.
They are not meeting?
No.
Okay, so, I mean, presumably, I'm guessing that Michael Ray has tried to clear Tuesdays, so, should we plan for that?
Works for me.
29th?
I'd
Okay,
like to, yes.
okay, good.
Time,
Time, 6 o'clock.
okay.
That still work for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Earlier? No?
Pushing it.
All right,
Happy hour starts at 5, so.
okay, no, that's fine. I know we're Zoom here, so I don't know
Yes.
what people are doing, so I just want to make sure.
I understand.
Okay, so we'll add a meeting on September 20, what did I say that was, 29th? 29th,
Yes.
29th at 6 o'clock. Okay,
Does it make sense to set up the October meetings while we're all together?
fine. Yeah, 'cause
So-
we'll have a quick turnaround. So, yeah, let's do that. So,
So, Mr. Chair, I'm proposing we try to stay away from Wednesday because of Brian and myself, I
Yep.
can't say whether or not there's going to be a zoning board meeting. They're called as necessary.
right,
So my question was, do we want to do the Mondays, the opposite of the planning board? On the
right. So that would be the 5th and the 19th. Now, the challenge with that is Michael Ray said he cannot do the first Monday of the month,
Oh, okay.
but I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
Right. I mean, for me, I could join from 6 to 7, but I would have to bow out at 7
On
on a Wednesday, if it was
on
a Wednesday.
Same thing with,
Same for me.
so that doesn't seem to make any sense.
Well, no. So if you wanted to do it that way, Brian, you would be which meeting? You're the first and third or second
First
and
and third. First and third.
All right. So if you wanted to set the second and fourth, I don't have an issue because I can at least join for an hour and there might not be a meeting. We only get called when people ask us
Okay,
to do something.
You have a
Uh,
meeting on the 14th, I know. The ZBI does.
Okay. So the
so we already know.
14th, I'd have to bow out at
Once meeting
7.
scheduled now, so.
It's
Okay.
unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. The FinCom,
15th and 29th would be opposite FinCom
15th and 29th are the opposite FinCom.
if we
How's
did
that?
Thursday.
How's that for folks?
Like I say, I'm fine. I mean, the only conflict I have is the 14th. Then.
Okay,
The 20, if you
Sure.
wanted to do the 15th and the 28th, it would be better for me.
Are we talking about October or September?
talking about October.
Over.
October.
Can we move it up to like the second week of October, the week of the 5th? Can we?
Uh,
Michael Ray Jeffries can't do the
We
5th.
could do the
Monday.
5th, we could do the 5th and the
No, we-
19th.
No, you can't do the 5th. That
Well,
won't,
We
Michael
have
Ray.
one member
Michael Ray
missing.
wouldn't make it. And then
We're not-
Wednesday is the school committee meeting.
Yeah,
So-
so we're gonna have somebody, I mean.
Somebody's not gonna make
The
it.
challenge is
By the
we're
way-
gonna always have somebody missing.
Okay, so
How
I'm
about
okay for
Saturday
the 8th.
10th?
I'm okay for the 8th, the Thursday, the 8th.
Yeah, that's a FinCom.
That's a FinCom. Yeah.
Oh,
And we're starting into the budget process
Yeah.
or special town
Special
meeting
town.
process.
So
That's the
that's a
6th.
tough week because everybody meets on that week except for.
And it's
We've
not gonna
got
be Friday.
public hearing scheduled for a special town meeting also coming up, don't we? FinCom?
I'm sorry?
FinCom would have a public hearing before a special town meeting? Is that the same as
Yes.
regular town? So that's going to be in October on one of those Thursdays.
What if we do the same thing after the meeting on the 29th? We will update the plans and send it to Greg. And if you folks can send your comments, so the week when we don't have meetings, the week of October 5th, we'll still get your comments and continue
Yeah.
to work on the drawings.
That's fine. So in that case, we're back to the 15th and the 29th.
So like I say, I can't do the 29th, I could do the 28th.
Okay. 28th would be a Wednesday.
A Wednesday. So that's okay.
The 15th. I mean, we need time to wrap up the project, so we are supposed to be done on the 30th.
Yeah.
So can
We're just going to have to cram some meetings into October. That's all
All
there
right.
is to it.
Well, do we want to do, so you want to do, well,
So Tom, how many meetings do you think will, if you had your wish, how many meetings do you want for October?
okay, I need 5 more meetings to finish off the job, to get to design development. I need two meetings, which is September, to finish the schematic design phase, and then 2 meetings for design developments, and a 3rd meeting to review a draft report and cost information.
So-
Nobody likes the budget the first time, so I just know we need a meeting to talk about it.
Okay, so Dave, your FinCon is the 15th and the 29th?
No, it'd be the 8th and 22nd, I believe.
8th and 22nd, okay.
Yep.
yeah.
You know, if you had to do the 7th and 14th, that means Brian and I would only be for the first hour. If
Yep.
that makes sense, we can just, if you want to flip the meeting, Mr. Chair, and have just, go right into what these guys want to talk about.
Okay.
We would have had comments. And then we can have one more later on, schedule one for like the 22nd of October. That would be a Thursday.
So you're saying the
that
7th,
works.
14th, and 22nd?
22nd is FinCom,
22nd
but that's
is FinCom.
okay.
So 7th, 14th, and 22nd? I'm happy
Yes,
to do more.
yeah,
It's
just-
easier to not have one than it is to schedule it, so. So do we wanna
Move
do that?
agenda items.
Say it again, Brian?
You can always move agenda items if we. need
Well, that's what I mean. We
to
can,
things
yeah,
and- yeah.
yeah. All right, so you want to try 7th, 14th, and 22nd?
That way you lose us, everybody gets to bow out at 7 o'clock, except for you,
And we'll
Greg.
hopefully have a quorum.
Yeah,
Is 5:30 out of the question?
not for me.
I could do it. I think
Yeah, in October, that'll work for me.
All right, so do you want to shoot for 5:30 meetings? I think Tanner has a problem with that sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're kind of, it's difficult. We get so many schedules.
We can, this is long-range planning for all of us. We can always tweak those, all 3 in October, actually, as we get into the 21st meeting.
Yeah, okay.
We'll
Well,
have a better handle.
let's tentatively plan for October 7th, 14th, 22nd at 5:30. And like you said, Dave, let's bring that up at the next meeting and
Perfect.
see what we got.
Yep. Fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Man, oh man. It's good that we're all involved,
Yeah. Good thing none of us are involved in anything else around the town or anything like that, so.
Yeah, no. All right. Okay. Do we have any public comments from the public? Yes, ma'am. Katie.
Hi. Okay, so I do have a question. Originally I had a joke, but I'm just following a lot of interesting Facebook news. They changed the first day of school, so people are getting a little nervous. But I was going to ask, what's that?
Fun. I haven't caught that yet.
Yeah, so even the teachers didn't know that kids aren't actually going in on Wednesday. Surprise! But that's not related to this. I was going to originally say Katie Adams, Peninsula Drive, speaking as a citizen, I'm a member of Grange, and Chris Menard forgot to ask for an 18th century fireplace for our cooking events. So I just didn't know if the architects could add that in. But that was a joke, which I no longer felt like making because I'm too confused. But my real question is about plumbing. There's been a lot of talk of, existing plumbing, and in my mind, and this is a question for the engineer or the architect, is existing plumbing viable in the building? There's been testing over the years. The lead levels are very, very high, in particular in the TC Pasio's kitchen. And I know a lot of that is because the water's stagnant and the flowing water is going to have a better result in a test. But the bottom line is it's old plumbing. There must have been, the lead in the solder. And so in my mind, when we're establishing all these luxury kitchens and stuff that I can't really conceptualize, but if we did, wouldn't we just do all new plumbing? At what point would we be recycling this old plumbing, but on the other end of it have all these modern facilities?
I would have to go back to the plumbing engineer's report. It is likely we would be doing the upgrade.
Okay, that's good news to me. I mean, I know it's more expensive, but the lead levels in that cafeteria are so high. I ask about it every once in a while because I know that there are some school activities and things in that building, and I get highly concerned. There's two schools that I refer to this as a school, and also the Turkey Hill. They test high on lead.
Yeah, we'll look at the report and get back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Nobody wants to drink lead. Or maybe now we do. I'm not sure.
All right. Anything else, Katie?
No, that was all. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Any public comment from the committee? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm excited about the progress. I thought today's meeting went really well, and I've seen a lot of progress from the last meeting. So thank you, Tom and Ed, and everybody on the committee.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Parks is going to have a meeting. I believe it's next Monday. And one of the agenda items is discussion of space needs in Pasio's for possible future programming. I believe that's probably mostly in the gym, so that would be more scheduling issues than it would be structural issues to the building, to that area itself. I just wanted the committee to be aware that Parks is going to be talking about it next Monday evening. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm all set.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to say that I really appreciate the folks that have come to both members of the public, but also members of the various community groups that have taken time. It really helps us to steer the discussion and get the input. And just encourage people to keep coming. And we actively, we're really value that opinion. So thanks so far, and keep coming. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, Greg, I have one more thing I forgot to mention about Parks.
Okay.
Just to get it out in front of the public as much as possible. The Parks, actually the BOS decided to allow us to go forward with filling the 2 new Parks positions created by the charter by joint appointment. So the application process, talent bank form process is now open. So we have 2 seats available until the next election, to be filled until the next election by appointment. I just want to get that word out there as often as possible so that anybody at all interested, please fill out a talent bank form. Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess to that end, we are likely to have a vacant seat on this committee after when the select board meet next. So any interest, I'm sure the town manager would accept talent bank forms as well. So we welcome those. So I think that is all. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn at 8:40 p.m.
Brian Layton, and I second.
Okay, roll call. Dave Flatt.
Yes.
Dave Passios.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
And I from me. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, you got it. Good night, everybody.